The race between Michael and Rusty was on. This time, Michael would beat his older brother. He was absolutely adamant about this. For over a year now, he had been the slower one, the one that would have to wait until the other got tired of the swing, if that happened at all, that is. But not this time, Michael thought, as he pushed Rusty over. He did not even hear Rusty's head crack open and his desperate gasps for air. He just hopped on the swing, and with a broad grin enjoyed his first win over his big brother. It took 6 years of therapy and relearning to trust people again. But today, for the first time, Judy decided to, instead of heading home directly and locking herself in, she would go for a coffee at the street vendor she passes every day. All those 6 years had been undone in a single moment, however. Back in her apartment, her cup slipped out of her hand as she suddenly felt nauseous. As her consciousness faded, she heard footsteps approaching her apartment door and realized that the barista had called her by her name, a name she never told him. Did you understand what happened back then? Sort of. I mean, I knew it was not like normal, but I have to admit, it felt right. Good, even. What about it felt good? I felt loved. I mean, we were very close already, and that night we finally became one. You know, as your therapist, you romanticizing this is actually the most disturbing part to me. Why is that? It's often used to explain away the wrongdoing, to make it seem less atrocious. But was it really atrocious? Given the fact you ate her alive, I would say yes, very much. It is never a good idea to walk down a lonely, secluded forest path in the middle of the night. I know, too many cliches. But I grew up in the area, and until this night I thought I knew these woods and its inhabitants from the back of my hand. I know the foxes, boars, deer, and even the odd bear roaming around, so usually I do not get frightened by eyes staring back at me from within the woods. This was not uncommon, but this one time was different. Because between the two, suddenly a third eye opened. Well, I guess this is it then, Ryan sighed, pulling a cigarette from behind his ear. I just wish it would not have ended this way. He got no response. I know. How does that saying go? Better an end with horror than a horror without end? Something like that? Shit. I was just hoping we could see our children grow up together. With teary eyes, he looked down to his right. His gaze was met with an emotionless stare. Well then, farewell, he mumbled to his comrade's corpse, took a deep drag, and watched the mushroom cloud grow. This particular case seemed like a normal grave robbery at first. Not that uncommon around here. It is actually pretty profitable. If not for the valuables on the bodies, like jewelry, then for the organs. The department thinks there were multiple grave robbers at work. However, we only found one unconscious guy who refuses to speak and seems pretty apathic. But that did not matter too much. We deducted that his mates probably dropped the coffin, knocking out our suspect, and then the others simply ran away. However, that theory changed when we found our guy's DNA under the corpse's fingernails. Toby sat on his plain chair with nothing to look at other than a simple black table, some paper and a pen. Having gotten pretty bored, he started to simply doodle something. His mom was on her way to picking him up anyways, so he just needed to pass a bit more time. Then, a big old man entered the room. Behind him, his mummy stood in doorframe, visibly upset. "What have you done?" she asked. "They were laughing at me," he answered calmly, as his mom stared unbelievingly at his doodle of him stabbing his classmates to death. Who is Sister Agnes? Well, she was the best companion in palliative care we ever had. She loved her job and, even at old age, continued working here. She always held patients' hands in their last hours so they were not alone. Agnes developed a keen sense of whose time had come any given day and made sure to stay with them as much as possible. She died last year in her sleep. But how do you know her name? Because I see her all the time at the end of my bed, smiling and trying to grab my hand. Jack was in a hurry. He was already late for his meeting and really had no time to waste on street peddlers, beggars, or whoever would try to hold him up. A boy approached him and uttered shakily, "Please, sir, I need help." Jack freaked out. He cussed the child out, explained to bystanders how this was a well-known scam, and hastily marched on, proud of himself for having convinced everyone not to trust this kid. On his way home, now having time to stroll, he saw the kid again, this time carrying his dead baby sister in his arms. I get enough to eat, have a place to stay, a bed to sleep in, and people to talk to. I can go out, do some activities in the yard, play cards and whatnot. I do not need to worry about my finances. Yes, I am doing fine. Granted, I will not go on vacations or anything, but that does not bother me. I am pretty much happy with where I am. Everything I ever need is here. And the best? No nagging wife or kids anymore. Ever. Prison is not that bad. It was worth the life sentence.